questions, like few problems we have taken from Unit 1, and we will discuss that these problems, like we have objective problems and for subjective problems, like numericals, and for theory also, like derivations, theoretical concept problems. We have given the assignment. Okay, so you can go through that tutorial sheet 1 as well as tutorial sheet 2. In tutorial sheet 2, you will find many problem which is asked in the competitive examination, like problems which is there, that is already asked in any of the competitive examination. And the answer which is given there, you can solve the questions and try to match with the answer which is given there. Okay, and as far as tutorial 1 is concerned, you can go through this. That is more of derivations. So like we have given the PPT, so you can go through the derivation also. Okay, and a few problems which is also given there, which might have which maybe I have solved in the lecture also. So you can go through this, the concept which is there for all the problems, that is there in the PPT or in the video lecture. So you can go through that. Okay, let me begin with the first problem. Okay, so first problem which is given here, the phase velocity of an electromagnetic wave propagating in a hollow metallic rectangular waveguide. So we have a waveguide. Okay, and they asked that what is the phase velocity. So phase velocity, we know what is the phase velocity in the rectangular hollow metallic rectangular waveguide. So we have the waveguide, okay, rectangular waveguide, and that is hollow structure. And in that waveguide, dimension we have taken is A, and this dimension is B. Okay, so AB, we normally take A is greater than B. Okay, A is greater than B. And for this A is greater than B, we have a dominant mode, which is TE10 is the dominant mode. Dominant mode is the mode for which the cutoff frequency is less, okay, or least cutoff frequency, you can say. Okay, or if you want to check for the wavelength, so wavelength will be highest. Okay, so cutoff frequency which we have seen, maybe cutoff frequency which we have seen earlier, that is 1 by 2 root under mu epsilon. Okay, and square root of m by a whole square plus n by b whole square. Okay, that was the cutoff frequency for the waveguide, rectangular waveguide. And this may be for the free space, this may be c by 2. Okay, or if you want, you can write for vp by 2 also, because 1 by root under mu into epsilon is equal to vp, and that would be c by 2. So m by a whole square plus n by b whole square. Okay, and that you can say for free space, this is for free space. Free space mu r is equal to epsilon r is equal to 1. Now moving to the phase velocity. So if we talk about phase velocity, normal, if we want to simply state that phase velocity, so simple statement means phase velocity in free space, that would be c. But if we talk about phase velocity in the guided direction, phase velocity in the guided direction. So guided direction means that will be in z direction. Okay, z direction. So this may be, if you want to relate with the guided directions, you can relate with the Vg. So don't mess with this group velocity. This is not the group velocity. If you are confusing, if you are having confusion with the Vg, so you can just simply denote with the Vp. Okay, this is for free space. So this is the guided velocity. This is also called a phase velocity. Okay, don't mix with group velocity if you're confusing, because in the PPT, in the lecture video or in the slides, I have just denoted with the VG. So that's what I'm writing here. Guided velocity is called VG. If you are confusing with this groove velocity, you just ignore this VG, you just take it as a VP. Okay. So this is called as, what is this? What is this velocity? So this velocity, if you talk about, this will be omega by beta g, and this is comes out to be Vp divided by square root of 1 minus Fc by F ka whole square, which I have already dictated in the lecture video, or which is already there in the PPT. You can go through this. So now this is also called as Vp is nothing but C. This is also called C as 1 minus Fc by F ka whole square. So now we have the concern that what is the velocity? This is the groove velocity or phase velocity. Sorry, this is the guided velocity or phase velocity. You can say, if you want to denote, you just denote with the phase velocity or ph, phase velocity. Okay. So if this phase velocity, this guided velocity or phase velocity is equal to c divided by square root of 1 minus fc by f ka whole square. We know fc is always, this cutoff frequency is always less than the impressed frequency. So cutoff frequency means this is a least frequency. This is the least frequency, and this is the impressed frequency. This is also called as a cutoff frequency. Okay. So if you are having this cutoff frequency which is less than f, that means this fc by f should be less than 1. And to have the positive value, to have the real value, not positive, to have the real value, this fc by f should be less than 1. Otherwise, if this is greater than 1, this will give you the j outside, and j outside, this will be imaginary. This velocity cannot be imaginary value or complex value. This should be real. So that's why this fc should be less than f. That fc by f should be less than 1. So if this is less than 1, that means overall this value is less than 1. Because 1 minus something will give you the lesser value, less than 1. And the square root of that is also give you the less than 1. So if this is less than 1, that is VPS should be greater than C. So that means VPS should be greater than C. So we can say this is the phase velocity which is greater than the velocity of light in free space. The question was the phase velocity of the electromagnetic wave propagating in hollow metallic rectangular waveguide in the TE10 mode for the any mode. You don't go through the TE mode only, you can go through any other mode also. So that is true. So TE10 mode is less than its groove velocity, equal to the velocity of light in free space, less than the velocity of light in free space, or less than its groove velocity. So answer is greater than velocity of light in free space. For your understanding, let me have the groove velocity. So we know groove velocity, this is called groove velocity. If you go through the derivation of the groove velocity, this is comes out to be C or Vp into square root of 1 minus Fc by F ka whole square. So this value is Vg is less than C. So if you see, this will be Vph, and this is Vg. So your answer, you can see groove velocity is less than the velocity of light in free space, and phase velocity is greater than velocity of light in free space. That is for the rectangular waveguide. So that's how you can answer this question. Okay, the answer is this one. Now the second problem, which is says here, dominant mode in the rectangular waveguide for A greater than B is TE10. Yes, we know TE10 mode, because this mode has no attenuation, no cutoff, no magnetic field component, the highest cutoff wavelength. So this is the answer. The cutoff wavelength is highest, or you can say the cutoff frequency, the lowest cutoff frequency. So lowest cutoff frequency means highest cutoff wavelength, because we know f is equal to C by lambda. f equal to c by lambda. So frequency is inversely proportional to wavelength. So if the frequency is least, that means wavelength should be highest. So that is the answer. Okay. Now the third one. So third one, which of the following does represent the electric field lines for TE02 mode in the cross section of a hollow rectangular metallic waveguide? So we need to check out the cross sectional view of the rectangular metallic waveguide for TE02 mode. So here it is indicated that M is equal to, because we know TEMN is there. So M is the mod number, M and N is the mod number. So M is equal to 0 and N is equal to 2. So M is equal to 0, N equal to 2 means you have the waveguide. Let me change the pen. Okay, you have the waveguide. So a rectangular waveguide which is there. This is the x direction, this is the y direction, and the mod number which is given here, M equal to 0 and the N equal to 2. So this is the mod number. So looking from this side, it should be visible as 2 change in the phase or change in the direction of the lines. So that means this is the, so, and from this side it should be 0. So this side it is 0. So that means the answer is this one. So if you go through the this one, so this is look like this one. True peak should be there. So peak means, the peak means this one and this one. So looking from this side, N equal to 2 side. So this is the answer for this one. This is for TE20 and this is for TE01. This is for TE10. From this side we can see the one wave which is one peak which is shown here. From this side it is one peak from N side, and here from N side it is 2 peak, this side 0. Here you can see the 2 peak which is shown from the M side. So this is for TE20, this is for TE02, this is for TE01, this is for TE10. Okay. If you go through the TM mode, so I told you that TM, this is the rectangular waveguide. You should point out with this line, this point. Okay, this indication. Can I have the answer for this one? This is for X direction, this is for Y direction. Can I have the answer for what is the TM mode for this one? So if you go through this side, M side, the 2 line will intersect, and here from this side 1 line intersect. So M equal to 2, N equal to 1. So this is for TM21. TM01, TM10, okay, is not possible. Even TM00, T00 is also not possible because the wave will not propagate for 00. So you should just relate these things. Okay, if I'll give you this type of, you should be able to answer, or anything for the rectangular waveguide. Now the next question which is given here, the capacitance per unit length of the and the characteristic impedance of a lossless transmission line are C and Z0. So capacitance per unit length C is given and characteristic impedance is Z0. The velocity of a traveling wave on the transmission line is. So velocity of the traveling wave, velocity, I just want to know velocity of the traveling wave, that is VP, traveling wave. So what should be the velocity of the traveling wave for this? Okay. Can anyone answer how this is 1 upon Z0 into C? Anyone? So what is this Z0 for the transmission line? Z0 for the transmission line, what is the value? The square root of R plus j omega L divided by G plus j omega C. That is a Z naught value. Okay. So capacitance per unit length, which is given here as a C. And if you take for lossless transmission line R equal to 0, G equal to 0. So this is comes out to be Z naught is equal to square root of L by C. Square root of L by C. And Vp will be comes out to be 1 upon square root of LC. 1 upon square root of LC. Now just relate the square root of LC by square root of L upon C with Z naught. So what is the value of square root of L you will get is nothing but Z naught into root under C. So can I substitute here? And this will be square root of L is nothing but Z naught into a square root of C, and of course we have a square root of C. So this will be 1 upon Z naught into C. That in terms of capacitance and the characteristic impedance. So okay, you know these formula I already explained in the lecture video. Okay, in the PPT it is there, you can go through this. And of course, if here it is not given as a lossless transmission line, then it should be mentioned. The capacitance maybe, oh yeah, it is given here, na? Lossless transmission line. It is given here, lossless transmission line. The capacitance per unit length and characteristic impedance of lossless transmission line are C and Z naught. If it is given lossless transmission line, you should use this formula. Now, if it is given as a distortionless transmission line, so you should be able to find out what is the Z naught value for the distortionless transmission line. So distortionless transmission line, for distortionless transmission line, we have the condition that R by L is equal to G by C. And you should substitute R by L is equal to G by C here. You take it out L common here and C common. So R by L will be there and G by C will be there. So if R by L and G by C, and here you will get J omega, J omega. So this will become R by L plus J omega, G by C plus J omega. So this will be cancelled out because R by L and G by C are same. So you will comes out to be Z naught is equal to square root of L by C. The both are same. So for both lossless as well as the distortionless transmission line, the characteristic impedance Z naught is comes out to be square root of L by C. Okay, so you should answer this. This is the answer. Now again, the next problem. Already I told you the transmission line is distortionless if R by L is equal to G by C. So this will become LG is equal to RC. So that is the condition we have. Now next, assuming perfect conductor of a transmission line, pure TEM wave propagation is not possible in which type of this transmission line? So I already told you waveguide is also a transmission line, a type of transmission line. There we have went through the type of transmission line while we have discussed while we were discussing. So in that I told you that we have a single conductor transmission line, okay, multi-conductor transmission line. So single conductor means in that single conductor we had the waveguide. Now, assuming perfect conductor of a transmission, pure TEM wave is not possible in. So pure TEM, I told you that for the waveguide, maybe it is rectangular or circular. For both, the TEM wave is not possible because it is propagating in log the Z direction, and TEM wave is having Ez equal to 0, Hz equal to 0. So electric field and magnetic field propagating in Z direction is equal to 0. So there is no TEM wave which is propagating inside this cylindrical waveguide. So that is the answer for this one. Okay. Now, next one. Which of the following is the advantage and advantage? Which of the following is a disadvantage of microstrip with respect to the strip line circuit? In the last maybe last lecture, We were discussing about micro strip line and strip line. So which of the following is a disadvantage? So strip line, first of all, are more likely to radiate. Disadvantage with the micro strip line. But initially we were discussing about a strip line. Then we saw that a strip line is having no tunable facility. No tunable facility, because in the strip line we were having a strip line inside this, or you can say center line of this one, the top plate and the bottom plate, which is having thickness T, and here also thickness T, and this strip line is having thickness T. So this was strip line was there in the inside of this. So once it is fabricated, we cannot tune at all. So to tune this, we need a strip line on the top of that. So there will be a option to tune for a small range of frequencies also. So in the micro strip line, we have taken the strip at the top of this one. Okay. And there it was the facility to tune this. So this is called micro strip line. So they are micro strip line having disadvantage. Okay, are more likely to radiate. No, it is not there. More likely to radiate. Are bulkier? No. Do not let themselves to be printed circuit. No, that is a printed circuit. Are more expensive and complex to manufacture. Yes, it is. It is more expensive due to its tunability. The material which is used for the tunable circuit, it is expensive. And complex to manufacture means it is complex because of this tunable facility. We need to taking more care while manufacturing. Okay, so designing part is complex, or designing, you can say, manufacturing part. So that is more expensive and complex to manufacture. Now the next question, a coaxial line, okay, a coaxial cable is made of two brass conductor. The spacing between the conductor is filled with Teflon. Okay, with delta is equal to 2.1 and tan delta is equal to 0. It's okay. So we have given here, and which of the following circuit can be represent the lumped element model of a small piece of cable having length z by length delta z. So you are having a transmission and no need to go through these values. We just wanted to check which of the following type of transmission line or a small elemental model of the lumped element model is correct. So like we are having the transmission line and we cut a one small element that like delta z. So which of the following is correct? So like we see here, the value of this given, this is given as R delta Z upon 2, L delta Z upon 2, R delta Z upon 2, L delta Z. And these resistance and in inductance are there in series, and the conductance and capacitance are in parallel. So this is correct, but here by 2 is not correct. This should be R delta Z, L delta Z. So that is there in this. Although a small elemental model, we will have only one resistance and one inductance. Although if we want to cut it out from this side, so we cannot take it for the another element. So for one element, we are having one resistance, one inductance, one capacitance, one conductance, not these four. Okay, so for one element. Now here also these two side we are having resistance and inductance. So this is not for one element because we are taking the a part of another element also. And here the conductance is missing. So this is not correct. This is also not correct. Now here, yeah, this may be, but here this side inductance, this side also inductance. There is no resistance at all. So this is also wrong. Although if this side, this is resistance, We can take, but this is not by 2 is correct. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Resistance, inductance. Yes. See, this conductance and capacitance can be this side also, because it is a continuous model. It is a distributed circuit, so we can cut it from anywhere. I'll give you one problem on this also in the next or maybe next to next slide. Okay, so you know this is the answer. This is the correct answer. Okay, now we have another problem. In order to propagate the wave in the waveguide, the operating frequency must be, in order to propagate the wave in the waveguide, the operating frequency, impressed frequency, operating frequency must be, and I will give you the option of this one, greater than, less than, which I have solved here, maybe here. Okay, so we know F should be greater than FC. So this is how which we have went through. The cutoff frequency should be less than the impressed frequency, or maybe you can say the impressed frequency or operating frequency is greater than the cutoff frequency. Okay. Now the next, we are having the cutoff frequency. We are having some definitions which we have went through in the lecture slide also. So the cutoff frequency FC is a function of mod number. So I told you that FC is equal to 1 by 2 root under mu into epsilon m by a whole square plus n by b whole square, which I talk about the rectangular waveguide. So it is a function of mod number and the guided dimension as well as, so mod number and the function of guided dimension. Although this is the material property, this will be fixed. So the physical size of the waveguide will determine the propagation of the mode. So A and B will decide which mode will propagate. So depends on A and B, it will be decided which mode will propagate, which mode will not propagate, because the lesser than the impressed frequency, that frequency will propagate. Okay. Now the definition was, what was the degenerate mode, what was the dominant mode, okay, what is the evanescent mode. So we know degenerate mode, when two or more modes having the same cutoff frequency, they're said to be degenerate. And for this, TEMN, TENM, TMMN and TMNM are the same for A equal to B, and they make degeneracy. Okay. Now we are having dominant mode, the mode which is having lowest cutoff frequency in the particular guide is called the dominant mode. Okay, so you can go through these. Okay, now we want to solve one more type of problem for the characteristic impedance. I already went through this one. We are having evanescent mode. The mode which is not in existence is called the dominance. Is called the evanescent mode. Now we are having one more type of problem. So it is given as a transmission line of characteristic impedance, characteristic resistance, that is Z0 is equal to 50 ohm, is loaded with the load impedance ZL is equal to RL plus JXL. Okay, the magnitude of the reflection coefficient at the load is measured to be, okay, so magnitude of the reflection coefficient is measured to be 0.6. The real part of the load impedance RL is equal to, and real part of load impedance RL is equal to 50 ohm. Find the number of possible values for the imaginary part XL of the load impedance. So find the different possible values, or number of possible values. How many values is possible? Not the value, exact value they want. They want the number of different possible values for the imaginary part XL of the load impedance. So if you go through the reflection coefficient gamma is nothing but ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. So if you go through this ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0, and if you solve for this gamma, so gamma reflection coefficient, so this is reflection coefficient is always between 0 to 1. If that is 0.6, that means it is 60% of the wave, 60% of the wave is going to be reflected from the load side. So 60% of the wave is going to be reflected from the load side. And the characteristic impedance Z0, this is ZL. So ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. And this is the magnitude value which I talk about. So this is 0.6, which is there. And ZL we are having. So ZL, the value which is given as RL plus JXL minus Z0, which is given as 50, and RL is nothing but 50. And this is also divided 50 plus JXL plus 50. So you can have the magnitude of this one. Just try to find out how many values of XL is there. So if you talk about this one, this 50-50 will get cancelled and you will get magnitude of JXL will become XL, and this will become 100 square plus XL square. And if you take the square of the both side, so you'll find the XL value. How many different values is taking? How many possible values is taking? So we'll be able to find out. So maximum chances is 2 because a square root, a quadratic equation will form out. And based on this quadratic equation, the 2 XL value is possible. If after solving, if maybe these two values are same, so we can say only one possible value is there. So it depends. You try to solve for this XL value and try to find out how many values are you getting. Similar type of question which is given here, a transmission line of characteristic impedance is given as a 50 ohm, is loaded with Z0 is equal to 50, is loaded with ZL is equal to RL plus JXL, which is given here. The magnitude reflection coefficient is comes out to be 0.5. The magnitude of imaginary part of load impedance, that is XL, is equal to 25 ohm, which is there. Okay. Find out the number of possible values of real part of XL, real part RL of the load impedance. So we will try to find out gamma is equal to magnitude ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. We will try to substitute and try to find out. So we will substitute gamma is 0.5 and ZL is again RL plus GXL. RL is given, sorry, XL is given, and magnitude value of XL. So don't confuse with it is J is attached with this one. So this is J25, RL plus J25 minus 50 divided by RL plus J25 plus 50. And you will try to solve for this and you try to find out RL possible values of the RL. Okay. So try to solve this. Now the next problem. The question which is given here is the characteristic impedance of a transmission line being a purely real quantity. The characteristic impedance of a transmission line. So characteristic impedance of a transmission line. So don't go through this distortionless line. Just go through this Z0 is equal to R plus J omega L divided by G plus J omega C. That is there, we know. So characteristic impedance of a transmission line being purely real quantity. So it should be purely real. It should be purely real. For which condition? It could be lossy or lossless line. So it could be lossy line or lossless line. Okay. So we need to check out. Okay. Purely real quantity. So it could be lossy or lossless transmission line. So we are having, okay, we are having lossless line, and if this is lossless transmission line, and if you want to find lossless transmission line Z0 value, R is equal to G is equal to 0, and Z0 will be comes out to be the square root of L by C. And if you go through the distortionless line, so we know R by L is equal to G by C. And that is comes out to be Z naught is equal to square root of L by C. Again. So these two will give you the purely real value. We talk about purely real value. Okay. Now we are having the phase constant or propagation constant. If you want, you can check gamma. Gamma is equal to square root of R plus J omega L G plus J omega C. And if this is R plus J omega L G plus J omega C, and if you take this, substitute here for distortionless line, you will be able to find out gamma is comes out to be this one, and that will be, after solving, you will get square root of C by L into R plus J omega L. That is nothing but alpha plus J beta. So alpha is comes out to be R root under C by L, and plus this is comes out to be J omega root under LC. So this is alpha plus J beta. So beta is comes out to be omega root under LC, and the phase constant is a quadratic function of frequency, which is shown here, quadratic function. So this should not be quadratic function. This should not be quadratic function. It is a direct function. It is a linear function. So phase constant is directly proportional to the frequency. Directly proportional to the frequency, because it is 2 pi f root under LC. So phase constant is directly proportional to the frequency, or you can say directly proportional to omega or f. So this is phase constant is a quadratic function of frequency. That is wrong. Phase constant is a linear function of frequency. That is correct. I'll come on this line. Okay. Now it is a distortionless line with R by L is equal to G by C. Yes, it is a distortionless line. The phase velocity is a function of frequency of the line. So phase velocity is a function of frequency of the line. So if we talk about phase velocity, we know phase velocity is equal to omega by beta, which is equal to 1 by root under LC. If we solve about omega by beta, beta is equal to omega root under LC. So if we omega by beta, 1 by root under LC. And it is given as phase velocity, the function of frequency of the line. No. Phase velocity is not a function of the line. Frequency, not a function of frequency. See, if you go through phase velocity is a function of this frequency, you will be wrong. You cannot go through this omega by beta. The omega by beta is a formula, but beta is associated with the frequency. So you cannot use this frequency as a function of frequency is a function with the phase velocity. No, it is not. It is independent of frequency. So phase velocity is independent of frequency. It is a 1 by root under LC, because we are taking the basic element of the circuit or of the transmission line. A basic element is resistance, capacitance, inductance, and conductance. Okay. So phase velocity is independent of frequency. Phase velocity is not a function of the line, function of the frequency of the line. So it is wrong. Now, if you go through this, it is given as a characteristic impedance of a transmission line being a purely real quantity. So it could be lossy or it could be lossless transmission line. It could be lossless. For lossless, Z naught is equal to square root of L by C. For lossy, it is given as it could be. Not correctly. It is a lossy transmission line. It could be. For the lossy line also, because for the lossy line, if you go through this for the lossless line, or sorry, for the lossy line, we had a condition R is much less than omega L, and G is much less than omega C. for the lossy line. And for this also we found out Z0 is equal to square root of L by C. So it could be purely real for lossless transmission line, lossy line, distortionless line. So you know how many questions? There are 4 or 5 questions arises from this particular one question. Many questions arises from this one. Okay. So now the next one, we're having 2 problems. One problem is this one problem is this one. See, I'm just more focusing on transmission line problem. Okay, I'll give you a few more problems in the at the last. Okay, I'll give you a few more problems on waveguide. Now we are having this type of question is out of the box, which we did not went through. We might have went through this formulas, but this is the basically few these 2 problems are conceptual based, and I wanted to give you some concept for this type of problem. So the problem which is given here, a coaxial cable of unknown length is short circuited. So any cable, coaxial cable or any cable, any transmission line you want, you can take, but it is given as a coaxial line. No worries. Of unknown length we don't know, is short circuited at one end. So we are having a transmission line. We have just short circuited at the one end of the transmission line, and the short circuited is called ZSC. We will be able to find out the value that is called ZSC, short circuited impedance. Okay, input impedance you can say. And the impedance on the other end is measured to be, so one end is short circuited, another end is measured to be 25 ohm. So that is nothing but input impedance while the output is short circuited. And see, I did not solve for the input impedance formulas and all. You might have studied in electromagnetic wave theory. You can go through this. We are having ZSC is equal to 25 ohm. Now the measured impedance when it is open circuited. So when it is open circuited, measured impedance Zn is Z open circuited. This is open circuited. This is short circuited. So open circuited is found out to be 100 ohm. Now you need to find out then the characteristic impedance of the line. So characteristic impedance Z0 of the line we need to find out. So whenever you have given the open circuited and short circuited input impedance, so you will be able to find out the characteristic impedance of the line. So if you want to find out the characteristic impedance of the transmission line, you just find out the short circuited input impedance, open circuited input impedance, and just take it or the square root of ZSC into ZOC. So ZSC into ZOC, square root of that will give you the characteristic impedance. That is the formula. Z0 is equal to square root of ZSC into ZOC. And for given problem, it is given as this ZOC is equal to 100 ohm, ZSC is equal to 25 ohm, and that if you multiply, it comes out to be 50 ohm. That is the one type of problem. You can find this type of problem in GATE also. That is asked in IES exam also many times. So you can go through this. Now the next problem which is given here, consider the figure below which depicts the coaxial and two-wire transmission lines with respective expression for distributed inductance and capacitance, which is given. Okay, L and C, it is there for the two-wire line and coaxial lines. So if a transmission line characteristic resistance, okay, or characteristic impedance Z0 is given as 500 ohm, is to be designed which kind of transmission line would be preferable? So one type is coaxial line, another one is two-wire line. Another option is given as either of them. Either of them we can use. So it is given as Z0, which is called characteristic impedance of the transmission line, which is given as 500 ohm. That's a huge value. Generally, the coaxial lines is having the characteristic impedance of 50 ohm generally. So 500 ohm characteristic resistance, characteristic impedance transmission line is to be designed. Which kind of transmission line? So there is no need of any formula, anything. Just you need a concept. The concept is, for the coaxial line transmission line, we are having generally the characteristic impedance of 50 ohm, nearly equal to that. It's a huge value. For this 500 ohm, we need coaxial cable dimension, a very huge length or huge dimension. AB may be high, so huge dimension we need, coaxial cross-sectional value. A huge coaxial cable, very huge coaxial cable dimension will need, which is not feasible when you compare it with the two-way transmission line. So for the two-way transmission line, this kind of resistance is possible. And if this kind of transmission is, this kind of resistance is possible, because the two-way parallel line is having more losses. More losses. Because to match with the this characteristic impedance, we need that amount of the load value also to have the maximum power transfer. Okay, so that's why two-wire line is nowadays not used widely because of the loss that was there for this two-wire line. Two-wire line which we're using for the black and white TV in the 90s. Okay, that we're using for the Yaguda antenna. So hence two-way transmission line will be preferable for this one. Although we can answer for this coaxial line also, but the dimensional value is more. So preferable line is will be two-wire line. And here also it is asked as which would be preferable. So preferable will be two-wire line. Okay. Next one. This we have studied. Okay. This we know the formulas. We will try to relate with these formulas. So we have two isotropic non-dispersive non-magnetic material. So non-dispersive two isotropic material, that is a non-magnetic, mu r is equal to 0. Sorry, mu r equal to 1. Sorry, mu r equal to 1. So the ratio of velocity of electromagnetic wave in them. So ratio of electromagnetic wave, velocity of electromagnetic wave, the Vp1 divided by Vp2. That is nothing but 1 by square root of mu epsilon, because we know Vp is equal to 1 by square root of mu into epsilon. For the waveguide as well as the transmission line also, Vp is equal to 1 by square root of mu. Generally we have. So this Vp1, for the we are having 1 upon square root of mu1 into epsilon 1. And similarly for Vp2, 1 upon square root of mu2 into epsilon 2. So that is nothing but comes out to be mu2 epsilon 2 divided by mu1 epsilon 1. And that is comes out to be mu r epsilon r mu naught into epsilon naught divided by mu r1, you can say mu r2, sorry, 2. Sorry, mu r1 epsilon r1 mu naught into epsilon naught. This will be cancelled, and mu r and epsilon r is mu r1 and mu r2 is equal to 1. So that will be epsilon r2 divided by epsilon r1. So that is nothing but phase velocity. velocity of electromagnetic wave. And that is the value which is given here is as 10. Now we will try to solve for, okay, solve for ratio of, then the ratio of impedance in the two medium. So impedance of the medium eta 1 divided by eta 2. We know eta is equal to a square root of mu by epsilon. We know these formulas we have solved. Okay. For the waveguide, while we were solving, there is an intrinsic impedance. No? There is an intrinsic impedance. And for the waveguide, while we went through the waveguide, so for the waveguide, we had, I'll let you know waveguide, because here it will mix maybe. But if you want, for now, so waveguide was Z0, the characteristic impedance in the waveguide, and that was, or guided, not correct, the guided wave impedance ZZ, that was eta divided by square root of 1 minus fc by f ka whole square. That was there. And eta was the intrinsic impedance, and that eta was square root of mu by epsilon. And that for the free space here, that is 120 pi. Because for mu r and epsilon r equal to 1. That was 120 pi intrinsic impedance. So now eta 1 by eta 2 is equal to, we know it is nothing but square root of mu 1 by epsilon 1 divided by mu 2 by epsilon 2. And we know mu r, which is equal to mu r2 is equal to mu r1. And mu naught will get cancelled. Epsilon naught get cancelled. So you will get epsilon 1 up by epsilon r1 divided by 1 by epsilon r2. And that is nothing but epsilon r2 divided by epsilon r1. So that is nothing but 10. Same value. Okay. So that is the answer. Because we know epsilon r2 by epsilon r1 is equal to 10. So this ratio of impedance in the two medium comes out to be 10. Now the next one, for a rectangular PEC cavity, okay, of dimension A, B, and C. This is the rectangular cavity resonator. The resonant frequency of the TE mode are given by, so FR, resonant frequency for TE mode, the formula which is given here, already we know the formula, 1 by 2 pi root under mu epsilon, and pi maybe it may cancel. If you want, you can write, because we have went through that 1 by 2 root under mu epsilon, and that was m by a whole square, n by b whole square, plus p by d we had taken, not d. Here it is given as c, so you can take c also, p by c whole square. And for the TE mode, we had the HZ, because TE, for the TE, EZ should be equal to 0, HZ should not be equal to 0. So HZ comes out to be H naught Z cos m pi by a m pi by a into x cos n pi by b into y, and we had for the cavity resonator, because this is not e to the power minus j beta g into z, it is sine p pi by c ka sorry, p pi by c, not whole square. So from that we found out that m, n, and p. So m can be starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, and n was again 0, 1, 2, 3, half a periodicity, and p was starting from 1, 2, 3. That not 0. If this 0, this SZ will become 0. So this is not 0 possible. It is 1, 2, 3. So that is there here. In the problem itself, it is given. So that is m and n both cannot be 0 for the TE mode also. So both cannot be simultaneously 0. If this is 0, the evanescent mode will come. This is evanescent. This is not a possible. The mode which is not possible is called evanescent mode. 0, 0 is simultaneously not possible. So at a resonant frequency, TM mode, which comes out to be this one, and that was 1, 1, starting from 0. So now for rectangular pit cavity with air dimension, so air has dimension. So it is given as A is equal to 10 centimeter, B is equal to 10 centimeter, just convert it into meter, 0.1 meter, 0.1 meter, and C is equal to 30 centimeter, 0.3 meter. So we need to solve what is the lowest resonant frequency for TE type mode and what is the resonant frequency for the TM mode. So for the TE mode, we need to solve for the lowest resonant frequency. So we know for the lowest frequency for A equal to B, because A and B are both are same now. So for A equal to B, we know for the dominant mode, because it is TEMNP, na, TEMNP. So directly we can find out cutoff frequency. Cutoff frequency, lowest resonant frequency means cutoff frequency. So TE, maybe it is P should be 1 fixed. It may be 0, 1, 1 or TE 1, 0, 1. Both are same. Both are same because A equal to B. So you have TE, this one, and similarly for TM, we'll have the cutoff frequency for A equal to B. So TM we have M and P. So it is possible that TM, it is possible that TM, M is called, M is starting from 1, 1. So it may be 1, 1, because both his list value is 1. So 1, 1 and it is 0. So 1, 1, 0 is possible. So you can see here we have in the table. So TE 0, 1, 1 is 1.58. This is the value. This is the simulated value. Multiple value you can simulate. You just apply the formula, write a MATLAB code, and just in the MATLAB you just range the value of M and P from M equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, N equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 something, and P from 1 to 3. So you have the MATLAB code, just simulate it and try to find out the different values. You will get it. Restrict at some finite value, MNN value, higher value. You take M at 100 or maybe 50 or maybe something you want. Different combination is possible. So for the different combination, the list value is 1.58 and another 1.58 is coming at this line, this point. So for this, we have 10, 101, and for this, it is 011. What is there? 101 and 011. That is there. You can see TE 011 and TE 101 is the list value and same value which we are getting here. Okay. Now for the TM list value, what we have? So it is increasing and TM is, you find it, TM is starting from 1, 1. While we start from MNN value 1, 1, it is starting from 1, 1. And 1, 1, 0 is not possible for TE because P0 is not possible. P should be 1. So the least value for TM is this one. Least value for TM is this one, 110. 110. And least value which we are getting is 2.12 something. Okay. So from this analysis, the next higher value, next are the higher values. So from this analysis, it is clear that for the rectangular cavity resonator, we have the least cutoff frequency for both TE as well as TM mode, least cutoff frequency for the TE mode, not TM. And you might have remember for the rectangular waveguide, we had TE10 was the dominant mode, which we were discussing in the starting of the class for A greater than B. And here we had a condition A equal to B. That's why we are talking about TE011 or TE101. But if you talk about A greater than B, A greater than B, that means at that time TE101 will be the dominant mode. And overall, the dominant mode will be the TE101. Because overall means here it is asked it separately for the TE and TM, but overall the mode which is the least cutoff frequency for TE101 for A greater than B. But for this particular question, you are having these two answer. This answer is there 1.58 and this one 2. For TM mode, I am talking about lowest resonant frequency. For this one 2.12. It is wrong. 2 point something is there. TM mode. What is the lowest resonant frequency? Okay. So I hope it is clear. Okay. Now we are having a few problems. We will discuss very fast because these are the concepts which we have discussed already. We have discussed. What is the velocity of signal in a lossless transmission line? Velocity. V is equal to Vp is equal to, we know, velocity of lossless transmission line. So 1 by root under LC, lossless. 1 by root under LC. Now characteristic resistance of lossless transmission line. Again, we are talking about lossless. Lossless, we know, R equal to G equal to 0 for the lossless transmission line. So Vp is equal to 1 by root under LC. And if you talk about characteristic impedance, Z0 is equal to root under L by C. So that is there, root under L by C. Okay. Now we are having, which of the following is a solution of wave equation? So if we go through the solution of wave equation in the transmission line, you will have see it is a different kind of notation, but we had the wave equation that was V0 plus, I'm talking about V0 voltage equation, V0 plus, okay, and we had e to the power minus j beta g into z and plus V0 minus e to the power plus j beta g into z. So if you go through this, this is in terms of only z. While we were solving for this solution of wave equation in the transmission line, we had the voltage equation already, voltage equation, and voltage equation was the function of z as well as the time, and there we got that V naught or you can say V naught cos V naught plus cos omega t minus beta g, omega t minus beta g into z beta z plus phi plus was there, huh? And we had plus V naught minus cos omega t plus beta g into z beta z plus phi minus. So from this, if you go through the functional analysis, if you represent this as a function, we can represent the function by plus sign, that is the wave is traveling in the plus z direction. It may be t minus z by u, and u is the velocity which is traveling. So we just take omega as a outside of the function. So beta by omega is nothing but Vp is equal to omega by beta. This is u is nothing but velocity. So just represent beta by omega as 1 by u. So this is comes out t minus z by u. And plus it is f minus t plus z by u. I told you that you should remember the sign convention always. If this is minus z, so that means it is wave is traveling in plus z direction. And if this is plus z, that means the wave is traveling in the negative z direction. So that means this is also possible wave equation. This is also possible solution. This is also possible solution. So this is also possible at one side, only one side of the wave, only one direction it is traveling. And this is also only one direction it is traveling. And you can combine both So wave is traveling and wave is reflecting back. So all are correct. All are correct. All are the solution of the wave equation. So this may be f plus t minus z by u, f minus t plus z by u, f minus t plus z by u, and f plus t minus z by u plus f minus t plus z by u. So that is the thing which is there. Next one, it is given as general solution of wave equation for voltage on a lossless transmission line. So equation for voltage of lossless transmission line. So you are having voltage, it is given here. And if you want to find out the current, so you can have current. For the current analysis, we had the minus sign here. And you know, we had applied the analysis 1 upon R was there. And here also it is given is the minus sign should be there for the negative line. So this is the correct answer. You can refer the slides also. Okay. Now we have one more problem. Given that maximum velocity of signal propagation of the transmission line is the velocity of light in free space 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, find the minimum inductance a transmission line can have if the capacitance is equal to 1 by 9 picofaraday per meter. So you know velocity of light in free space Vp is equal to 1 by root under Lc. So that is the minimum velocity which we can carry out. Okay, and it should be velocity of it should be sorry, it should be the velocity, sorry, the maximum velocity which we can occur is maximum velocity is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, which is there in the problem. Maximum velocity of signal propagation on the transmission line is 3 into 10 to the power 8. And we know velocity Vp 1 by root under Lc. So minimum value of L we can find out from this equation, and that is comes out to be 100 microhenry per meter. We can substitute all these 1 by 9 picofaraday per meter. We can find out. Now another problem, a lossless approximation of a transmission line model is lossless approximation. So lossless transmission line, you know, R equal to 0 and G equal to 0. So R equal to 0, G equal to 0 for lossless transmission line. That is there. Okay. Already we know. Another problem, which of the following correct representation of a unit cell of a transmission line? Unit cell I'm talking about. A unit cell. So unit cell, you are having the transmission line, a resistance, a inductance, a capacitance, a conductance, maybe conductance this side, maybe capacitance this side. Again, maybe inductance this side, maybe resistance this side, but this should be in parallel. This should be in series. And another we have capacitance, another we are having the conductance, and as so on. This side also that will be there like this. Okay, like this we have. Now we want to have the unit cell, so you can cut it from anywhere. I want to cut from here, so we can cut. If you want to cut it from here, so you need to cut it. So this should be, oh yeah, you need to cut it from this side. So that resistance, inductance, capacitance, conductance, that should be there in one element as well. At least this should be there. And this can be cut at any position. So you can have this type of unit cell, this type of unit cell, this type of unit cell, this type of unit cell. All these unit cell, you can see we are having resistance, we are having inductance, we are having capacitance, we are having resistance, sorry, conductance. Here also resistance, conductance. This side may be inductance, this side may be resistance. And this should be like this way. We can have this type of also, we can have capacitance this side resistance. So we just cut out, sorry, we just cut out the capacitance because capacitance already counted out. So we can cut it this capacitance. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So all these unit cells is correct. See, this is very confusing problem. Maybe I have solved this solution for this transmission line. We went through the unit cell also, but maybe I would have given this problem. No one will be able to solve because of the confusion. I'm not telling you will not be able to solve because you are not having understanding. You are having the understanding, but because of the confusion, you will not be able to answer the question. Maybe you will get anywhere else also, but now you will be able to answer. You know the concept behind this unit cell which we are taking for the transmission line. Okay, and you can see in each of the unit cell we are applying the input I and we are taking the out I. Maybe that was a function that will be the function of I z comma t, and that may be function of I z plus delta z, I z plus delta z comma t plus delta t. We can ignore delta t also because t will be very less, because in this unit cell, traveling of this wave from this position to this position, the time of travel will be very less. So delta t is very less because delta z is already a very small value. In the analysis, we were using delta z, limit delta z tending to 0. It is very small value. And you can see z length here and z plus delta z in each of the unit cell which is represented here. So you can have this. Okay. Now, in very quick, I'll go through the rectangular waveguide, the formulas which we're using in the rectangular waveguide, and I'll go very quick. Okay, so concentrate here. We know the cutoff wave number kc square, which we had kx square plus ky square. No? And we were knowing the kc can be written as kx square plus ky square. Okay, and we had this kx is comes out to be m pi by a and ky is comes out to be m pi by b, and kc was omega root under mu epsilon, because kc square is equal to omega square mu epsilon. So kc will comes out to be omega root under mu epsilon. And from this analysis, we found out that omega is equal to 2 pi f, which is nothing but 1 by root under mu epsilon, and that is nothing but m pi by a whole square plus n pi by b whole square, and that comes out to be f is equal to 1 by 2 root under mu epsilon and m by a whole square. Pi will come outside and that will be cancelled. So that was nothing but the cutoff frequency. That was nothing but the cutoff frequency. Okay, that was nothing but a cutoff frequency. Now we had we had the propagation constant, that gamma z, propagation constant gamma g, that was nothing but plus minus j omega root under mu epsilon, j omega root under mu epsilon, and we had 1 minus fc by f ka whole square, and we know that is nothing but alpha plus j beta. From this we know that to have the propagation constant, that means beta g should be there, because j beta g should be there to have the propagation in the inside the waveguide, and alpha was the attenuation constant and beta g was nothing but the propagation constant, sorry, phase constant, and that was the propagation constant. So to have this j, because attenuation should be as minimum as possible, so we need to have j beta g. So j is as it is we have, so this should be there, and we need to find out. So this cannot be a imaginary value, because if this is imaginary, this j will vanish and it will become alpha. So it should not be alpha. Alpha should be as minimal as possible. So this should be, from this we conclude that 1 minus fc by f का whole square should be greater than 1. So from this we found out that fc by f should be less than 1 and fc should be less than f, cutoff frequency. So cutoff frequency is always less than the impressed frequency. Okay. Now we also had the Helmholtz equation. So solution of Helmholtz equation, So we know we had solved this Helmholtz equation for the rectangular waveguide, and that was comes out to be A sine kx into x plus B cos kx into x, and we had C sine ky into y plus D cos kz ky into y and e to the power minus j beta g into z. That was there if alpha g is equal to 0. So that was the solution of Helmholtz equation we had. Okay. Now we are also having the TE mode and TM mode. We had for the TE mode, while solving the equation, while solving derivation, for the TE mode, the Hz field component is responsible to carry out the energy from one side to the another side. So that was responsible for propagation, and Ez equal to 0. Similarly, for the TM mode, we had Ez should not be equal to 0 and Hz equal to 0. And we had solved the equations for the different 6 equations. And you maybe you can be you are able to find out for the Ez already 0, for the Hz also, for the TE mode. What is the value of Hz? And here also you will be able to find out Ez. So Hz what? H naught z, we had cos m pi by a. See, you should remember why cos or sine is there. So you know for the TE we had Mn mode, and here M is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because TE10 is a dominant mode. You should remember this one. So 10 is dominant mode, M is starting from 0, N is also starting from 1, 2, 3, dot, 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 dot. So it should be cos. So cos n pi by b and e to the power minus j beta g into z. And here also, here we had TE, so TM Mn mode. So TM Mn, M is starting from 1, 2, 3. Don't forget TM01, TM10 is not possible. You should remember this point out wala thing. Representation. You should remember this kind of representation. The wave which is traveling inside this, the mod number which is there. N is also starting from 1, 2, 3, dot, dot. M and N simultaneously 0 is not possible because the wave will not propagate then. So Ez should be E naught Z, and here we are having M starting from 1 and starting from 1. So it should be sinusoidal function, sine m pi by a into x, sorry, it is x, it is y, and sine n pi by b into y e to the power minus j beta g, it is z. Yes, minus and plus is depend on the direction of the propagation. Okay, so you should remember this. Now we have already discussed the cutoff frequency. We have already discussed. We have not discussed about the ZZ and already we have discussed the propagation of group velocity, phase velocity. Okay, and beta g already we had discussed. So from this comparison, we can find out beta g is called omega root under mu epsilon square root of 1 minus fc by f ka whole square, subject to condition that alpha is equal to 0. Now we had lambda guided wavelength, lambda g. So lambda g is nothing but lambda, which is there for the propagation, and that is nothing but lambda is equal to Vp upon f. Vp was nothing but again omega by beta. Sorry, Vp is nothing but c by f. So this is nothing but velocity of light in free space, and this lambda, this is the guided wavelength, and lambda divided by square root of 1 minus fc by f ka whole square. So that was there. You can have this, and zc was eta divided by, already we have 1 minus fc by f ka whole square. You should know these formulas. Similarly, for the circular waveguide also, you can go through this once. Okay, circular waveguide you can go through by yourself, and you can have the understanding of Bessel functions, Bessel of first kind, Bessel of second kind, why Bessel of second kind is not possible, why Bessel of first kind is only there, and xnp dash, different roots of the equations which is there possible for that. Before wrapping of the this one, I'll give you one quick short note problem. I'll just dictate the problem. We are having the Maxwell's equation, curl E is equal to, we know for the source free, I'm talking about source free region, for the source free or free space where the space charge density rho v is equal to 0. So curl E is equal to, it is comes out to be minus del B upon del T. And if you talk about frequency domain, that is comes out to minus j omega mu into H. Already we have. And curl H is equal to, we are having del D upon del T. Already we know J plus del D by del T. So we are having free space, so del D upon del T. So this is comes out to be j omega epsilon into E. And we had divergence of D is equal to 0 because rho v is equal to 0 for the free space, and divergence of B is equal to 0, it is always. So this is for the source free equation, source free region, free space or source free. So this is the Maxwell's four equation. Now we are having the question that you want to take the free space or source free region Maxwell's equation, you're given, and you're asked to know about a one equation, a solution of the wave equation, that is del square E is equal to mu into epsilon del square E upon del T square. I told you now that is if you have the double differentiation in a space domain, you will get the double differentiation of same function in time domain, del T square. If you're having double differentiation of the electric field in the space domain, you will get the double in the different in the another side of the equation, you will get double differentiation of same electric field in the time domain. If you're having one differentiation in space domain, you will get another side, the one differentiation in time domain with respect to the another field, that is, if this is this side electric field, this side magnetic field, like this, curl E minus del B upon del T. So you're talking about space domain, you're talking about differential function in one side, and you can have the wave equation. I'm not talking about the Maxwell's equation, you can go through the wave equation. While we solving the transmission line also, we had that equation, that is voltage converted into current and current converted into voltage. While we were having the double differentiation of the voltage in a space domain, we were having the double differentiation of voltage in the time domain. So here voltage is not converted into current. This is the wave equation. Now the question is not completed right now. The boundary of the question is there. The Maxwell's equation is there. for the free space or source free region. We are having the wave equation. Now the question is to derive this wave equation for the electric field, which of the following equation is required? Which of the following Maxwell's equation is required? I hope you understand the question. My question is, you are given the Maxwell's equation, all the Maxwell's equation for the source free region. You have given the wave equation for the electric field. Now you are asked to find out which of the following Maxwell's equation is not required, or maybe which of the following equation is required to solve for this equation. Now the answer is, we need to solve for this equation. We need to solve for this derivation. We need to go through the derivation. So how we can go through in a very quick for the short problems? Okay, so we are having the equation in frequency domain, like we have curl E is equal to minus j omega mu into h, minus j omega mu h. Can I have the curl on both sides? So we'll have curl on curl E is equal to minus j omega mu curl h. We can take it j omega mu as outside. So we'll get curl h. We can substitute curl h. We have already solved these equation in the third or fourth lecture. So you can go through this. Now we have curl of curl E. So curl of curl A or curl of curl any equation. So that will give you Laplacian operator del square E minus del square E plus grad of divergence. So curl of curl E will give you the minus Laplacian operator of E and grad of divergence of E. So gradient of divergence of E, which is shown here, now minus j omega mu, and we are having curl H is equal to j omega epsilon E. J omega epsilon E. Now can we have this divergence of E? So divergence of E is nothing but divergence of D. D is equal to, we can have divergence of D, which is equal to, D can be epsilon E. So divergence of E is also 0 because D is equal to epsilon E, because D is equal to epsilon E. So we have used this equation, we have used this equation, we have also used this equation. Because curl E, we are started with the curl E equation, we have used just now the curl H, and we have used the divergence of E. So now this is 0. Now this del square E is nothing but minus minus will get cancelled. So we'll get JJ will get cancelled. So we'll get minus omega mu, omega square mu epsilon into E. So minus omega square mu epsilon into E, or can we have del square E is equal to, already we know this equation we know. Can we have this as a j square omega j square omega mu epsilon into E? So can j square omega square, can we have j omega whole square is equal to del by t? So we can write here as a in time domain, can we write mu into epsilon, and j omega is called del square by del t square and into E. So that is there already, this one. So now the question was, we had the question, while solving this wave equation, which of the following is used? So curl E already used here, curl E is equal to j omega mu h, curl H is here used, and divergence of E is used. Divergence of B is not used. This is not used. Okay, so I hope you understand the question. So I'll wrap up here. Any doubt? Please let me know if any doubt. If any doubt, please let me know.
सर फील्ड पैटर्न वाला एक बार और बताइए.
Okay. 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 Fill pattern. ठीक है. So see, we had one question, no? Based on that, I'll go through this question only. Yeah, this one. This one, na?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yeah. So you can see here, we are having the, yeah, we are having the different modes. So if you go through the different modes, you are having the rectangular waveguide. I'll take blank set. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So this is the blank slide here. So we are having a rectangular waveguide. Now, if you want to go through the TE mode, I'm talking about TE mode. So you take the wave which is moving in plus Z direction. One wave is traveling in Z, my negative Z direction. Again, this side. Okay. Again, this side. Like this, it is going. Okay. So this is the X direction. This is the Y direction. Now you just take it as a wave front, which is shown here. So if you represent this as a wave front, so this wave front will be look like this one. Now if you look from this side, from X side, and look from this side. So if you look from this side, no wave is traveling. Now I want to take another one. So if you look at from this side, so one crest and tuff is there, and wave peak value is there. So one is this one is this one is this one is this one. So there are 4 peak value is shown. The max and mean value is shown. So that means n equal to 4. And from this side, no, nothing is visible. No peak is visible. So here from this side, we can say m equal to 0. Now the question is, can I have another type? And yeah, can I have the wave which is traveling like this? So I'll represent the wave front in this way. Oh, yeah. So can I have this one? So I'll take it as a this line. So up now, how many max and mean values shown here? So we are having 2. So m equal to 2. So that means this is TE MN T24 is there. The mod number 24. For the TE, now talk about MN TM mode. So TM mode, you just point it out blank, or just point it out. It is representation is like this. Now from this side, how many line which is able to cut it out? This one, sorry, one line is this one, another line is this one, another line is this one. So 3 line is able to cut out this one, these lines. And 2 line is cutting from this side. So m is n equal to 2. So this becomes TM 3 2 MN mode. 0 TM m equal to 0 and n equal to 0 is not possible, because if you take any single, even a single point, if you take it as if you take a single point, its representation will be m equal to 1 and n equal to 1. Single line will cut at least. So m equal to 0 and n equal to 0 is not at all possible. But here m equal to 0 and n equal to 0 is possible. Both simultaneously m0 and n0 is not possible, because if m0 and n0 both will be there, that means the wave is not traveling at all. So here it is shown here TM11, which is shown TM11, one point is there, one is cutting from m side, one is cutting from n side. TM31, 3 line is cutting and 1 line is cutting from this side. TE11, one is like this. Sorry, one is like this and one is like this. Here only one is there. So TE10. Okay. Am I correct? 1 minute.
Yes.
It's confusing. No. Mistake तो नहीं हुआ कुछ? Looking from this side. Okay, 1 minute. No, it is wrong. It is wrong. Looking from this side. Looking from this side, it should be how many peak is visible. So looking from this side, so it is, oh sorry, it should be m equal to 4 and n equal to 2. Sorry, it should be TE42. Looking from this side, this peak, this peak, this peak, and this is visible. And looking from this side, it is 2 is visible. So I was wrong. It is this one TE42 that is shown here. Okay. अगर इसमें मिस्टेक हो गया तो अब इसको देख लीजिए. एक और बता देता हूं आपको मैं. One more, I'll take the example. So we are having this one, and I'll take. Okay, and I'll take another one. Okay, so looking from this side, this is this one. So m is equal to 1. Looking from this side, one peak is visible, and looking from n side, it is 3 peak is visible. So crest and trough 3 is visible. N equal to 3. 1, 1, 1, 1. This side. Looking from this side, these 3 is visible. Looking from this side, only red line, one peak is visible. So this is TE13 is this one. Okay. I hope this is clear.
Yes.
Pranjal. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt?